We have some disastrous news to share with you guys about a new weapons deal the U.S. is involved in. The AFP reports here, the United States has approved the possible sale to Saudi Arabia of up to 153 tanks, hundreds of machine guns, and other military gear in a deal worth $1.15 billion, the Pentagon said Tuesday. The announcement coincided with news that the Saudi-led coalition warplanes had resumed airstrikes on Yemen's capital for the first time in 3 months, killing 14 people and shutting the airport after UN broker talks were suspended. The UN says more than 6,400 people, mostly civilians, over 3,000 civilians, have been killed in Yemen since the coalition air campaign began last March. The fighting has also driven 2.8 million people from their homes and left more than 80% of the population needing humanitarian aid. Oh my God, I didn't know those last numbers. That's earth-shattering. 2.8 million people had to leave their homes because of this, and 80% of the population in Yemen needs humanitarian aid. Oh, come on, man. And we've discussed previously, they've targeted hospitals. They've targeted schools for the blind. They don't give a fuck about international law. Because whenever somebody tries to get them to stop via the UN, what do they say? We're on the UN Human Rights Panel. We lead the panel. Fuck off. We're going to do whatever the fuck we want. Oh, no. Oh, no. What are you doing? United States, stop arming them. Stop it. But that's the main point here, man. Anybody, and there are people like this who still exist. People who are naive enough to think, well, what do you mean? Well, gosh darn it, the United States needs to lead the world because we care so much about altruism and humanitarianism and human rights. And we are rightly the world policemen. I hear from these people all the time. I do. How do you explain this? How do you explain constantly giving billions of dollars worth of arms to Saudi Arabia, an official Wahhabi state, the same ideology as ISIS, as we know they are massacring civilians in Yemen? By the way, this isn't even the half of it. We've covered stories about how they're giving U.S. weapons that we gave them. Guess who they're giving them to? Al-Qaeda in Yemen. Why? Because the Shia Houthi rebels took over the Sunni government in Yemen, and Saudi Arabia, fundamentalist Sunnis, Wahhabi government, they're like, well, we need some Sunni fighters on the ground. Al-Qaeda's there. Why not fund them? So that's what they're doing. So if you are of the belief that, well, come on, we need to control the world because who else would you rather have control it? I mean, obviously our values are superior. Well, I agree that liberal values are superior, but that's not what we're enforcing when we're arming Saudi freaking Arabia. They kill people for witchcraft and sorcery. They behead people for drug smuggling. This is a country that says all atheists are terrorists. We're going to give them billions of dollars in arms? What a joke this is. This idea that we care about, oh my God, these ideals that we fight for, nonsense. Obama just announced the other day he's trying to give $3.1 billion worth of aid and weapons to Israel every year. Why? We're trying to get a two-state deal, a peace deal. Israel says, I ain't interested in a peace deal. And how does the U.S. respond? Well, let me give you more money and more weapons then. Keep expanding those settlements. Keep occupying the Palestinians. Here's more money and more weapons. Well, then you can't turn around to the world and say, us? Please. We're the beacon of hope and enlightenment and liberal values and freedom and human rights for the world. That's what we are. Then why the fuck are you cuddling up to an apartheid state? Why the fuck are you cuddling up to a Salafi Wahhabi government that has the same ideology as ISIS, and you're arming them as they massacre children? Because it ain't about that, man. It's never been about that. It's about business as usual. It's about the status quo. It's about the corporatocracy in the United States of America, and actually the multinational corporatocracy where, we have our business leaders and the elites get to control everything and make more money by having these kinds of business deals. Don't be naive enough to think we're actually acting based off of from goodwill and looking out for everybody's rights. Nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. Don't do the fucking deal. Step one, if you're serious about fighting fundamentalist Islam, step one, don't arm the poisonous, toxic country which is most responsible for spreading that ideology. But that's what we're doing. It's grotesque. It's disgusting. It needs to stop now. We can't keep arming barbarians and savages. We can't keep doing it. We know what the result's going to be. More innocent people killed. We can't do it. We have to stop, and we have to stop right now.